You know, I think one of the biggest problems on the planet is reality testing. People are not trained, they're not taught, they don't even consider that they should test their reality to see whether they actually are interpreting things. Tom Bailu talks about this sometimes because he's got this kind of belief that he's a podcast, he's a talk show, health theory or something like that. Really smart man, but he interviews some really important people. But the question is how do you know that what you are seeing, feeling, hearing is really the correct interpretation of what you're seeing? And I can tell you, I am 100% positive that when I enter a village, I've been traveling into 114 countries, and I've been doing this for 26 years. And I guarantee you that the biggest lesson I've learned is everything that I believe about a country in the first 10, 20, 30 days is not true, okay? Because my first impressions are often a layer cake. It's a layer cake situation. It's like peeling an onion, and there's so many things that come off of the onion. And so, first impressions are very good when you want to say whether you trust a person. Your instincts as whether you trust a person are really good if you're an honest person. If you're an honest person, a dishonest person, they actually trust dishonest people more than they trust honest people. They look at the world in a specter where they expect people to act just like them. So I'm Andy Lee Graham. I've lived in 114 countries, but reality testing. And I have a chain on my neck, and this girl was asking me about it yesterday. I actually have a date with her today. Really exciting. 31-year-old girl from Colombia, very smart. And what it says on one side is an eye for your eye. And I was trying to explain that in Spanish, which is difficult, but it's kind of a saying that means I want to have an eye for your eye. Okay, and on the back of it, it says balance and things. And what happened was I was so worried that I was misinterpreting the world when I got sober 37 years ago that I actually wear something to try to remind me. I put up constant reminders to have humility when I'm doing stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. People get really angry at me because I tell harsh truths, okay? And if I don't say what I believe, then I'm editing the honest truth. And so normally, and it's my opinion, that 85% and 90% of people edit almost everything they say to try to make the person they're talking to happy. And this is sad. Instead of just saying this is the truth and let it lay, they have to edit. And this is really a dangerous thing. But right now, if I want to have an eye for what's happening in the United States, it's kind of interesting. So, like right now, I'm wondering whether or not. Hola, ¿cómo estás?
No podía colaborarme con un poquito de plata para ir a una cita a medicina.
Sí, yo no entiendo.
Un poquito de plata.
¿Plata? No.
Poquitito.
No.
Sí,
No.
poquitito. No tiene nada.
No. Gracias. Like, I'm making a video, and this woman comes up and talks. She doesn't have empathy for the fact that I'm making a video. It's quite obvious. People understand how these things go. She's actually a beggar, and she was doing she's begging on, she wanted me to donate money, and she didn't even show me what the papers that she was wanting me to donate. So really it was kind of a mismatch. But the point is I can't assume that anybody is ever honest. You cannot assume anybody is ever dishonest. And you have to test reality. And it's a very difficult thing. How do we test reality? We have to have metrics. And the metrics are very tough. And I really object very much to the idea that you will trust a university professor to make a study. They have to get published, and they They just create these hokey things like anybody else. They're in a way, what I feel positive of is that we all are sinners, and 80% of people will lie to make money. Very few people, I mean, less than, I don't know, 1 in 50. I don't know many people that refuse to lie if they can skew the truth to make money. I just don't know many people. It's just not something people do. It's like, how many people cheat on their taxes? I figure 99% of them, okay? It's not it's got some sort of juicy rationalization. Then they want to act like they're honest. And I know what my biggest dishonesty in life is. I make fake onward tickets that says that I have an onward ticket because I can't get on the plane without having an onward ticket sometimes. So a lot of countries, it's not the country, it's the airport. I've never had really, maybe one time I had the country ask me for an onward ticket. But normally the airlines make more money if they can catch you. If they know you have a one-way ticket, they can sell you the second ticket at full price, right? Because you're at the airport, you got to get on it. So it's a scam that's ran by the airplanes mostly. Don't get me wrong. People from India, people from, I don't know, Nigeria, need to have an onward ticket when they go to some country because they're not going to leave, okay? Most people, like anybody coming to the United States, needs an onward ticket, proving that they're at least making the intent to leave. But reality testing, what is this? How do you do reality testing? It's not easy to test reality. You gotta think about this. A lot of people are very afraid to travel. I mean, whether it's Mexico, Dominican Republic, these are two of the most dangerous countries on the planet. Everybody thought Haiti was dangerous. I was really upset when I went to Haiti because it was one of the safest countries I've ever been to. Okay, but reality testing doesn't have anything to do with the media. Okay, I went to Iraq. I got to check what the situation was. They were liberated. Okay, they were definitely liberated. Then the Iranians and the Syrians came in and kind of conquered their culture and tried to skew the problem. But then it didn't do any good that our industrial complex went in there and made it into a money-making thing. But Charles Murray has a book called Coming Apart where he talks about reality. He says there's people that are wanting to lead the nation of the United States or another country, and they have never stepped foot inside a factory, okay? When I'll never forget, I'm a heavy-duty coder, computer person, and when Joe Biden actually said that these co-workers could become coders, I realized that he had no empathy for what's going on in the world. It's just not possible, okay? There's a certain skill sets. Like I'm very bad at language. I'm a polyglot. I speak 3 languages, but every single word I earn by rote memory, basically. And a lot of people think that they can learn a language without rote memory, and I think there are people that naturally learn, right? And there's people that are naturally good at computers. There are people naturally good at doing things. But reality testing is, what are you good at? So there's got to be a high correlation between the way you look at the world and what reality is. And when you say you're only talking to 3 people, that reality's only those 3 people. You're only as smart as the 3 people that are your best friends. Okay, you're really a reflection of your 3 or 5 best friends. That's who you are. So if you say who your best friends are, that's a very good indication of who you are. Okay, but the goal, in my opinion, is not to have 5 good friends. It's to have 40 good friends. And the more friends you have, the more you have a check on reality. But there are people that are delusional, and what do we do to check out whether they're delusional? And that's where I'm always talking about signals. Signals are things. And so one of the problems right now, and it's really good, I'm really happy with a lot of the I was watching on CNN and watching MSNBC and SMBC, which I highly recommend you totally ignore. And CNN has a lot of value, okay? But MSNBC is totally a propaganda channel. Okay, just ignore it. I do look at it all the time because I want to know what a check on my reality is. Maybe there's 1 in 50 that actually is saying something that has some brilliance. But Maddow and all these people are absolutely insane. What they are is propagandists. And this is the problem we are in today's world. But I was really proud of CNN and these different people actually trying to sit back and say, what did the Democrats do wrong? And it was quite simple. And they had a resounding thing: they don't understand the people of the United States of America, which is okay. I don't understand them half the time. I can't understand why anybody would pay $700,000 for a house. I don't understand why anybody would want that much work. That's my problem. I said, why would I want a house so big that I would need to work full time just to maintain it? Okay. Now, if you tell me that you have 3 maintenance people and a gardener and 2 cleaning people, yeah, I think buy it. But if you're going to buy I don't know, 5,000 square foot house and you're going to take care of it, all you did is made a bad decision to have a lot of maintenance. Sorry about that noise in the back. I'm in Colombia. The noise is normal. Okay, but the question is how to have an eye for your eye and reality testing. So how do we do this? This is really tough. And what I see a lot of times is there's a lot of sympathy. See what you can bounce sympathy if you want to. So I was laughing because one of my friends is having trouble. He's spending too much money. And man, I have I'm like PTSD. I can't never remember the acronym, but I got a syndrome of trauma, right? Because I have had 0 money. And when he is spending more money than he has, I get scared because I can empathize with it because I lived through that. I don't understand this. I can't emotionally deal with it. It's like I cannot. If you really want to get me upset, try to tell me to balance a checkbook. That's like the worst possible feeling I can have on the planet, and it doesn't go away. It does lessen, but it doesn't get better. So the way I deal with finances is I always make sure that I'm living in a place that is so cheap that I can't help but afford to live there. It's just the way life is. I don't have any debts. I don't try to get any kind of monthly bills. But it's interesting as to how to have an eye for your eye. And that is, right now, what you see in the United States is we have a dichotomy of 2 different cultures. And I really do believe that we have this, well, Thomas Sowell said it pretty good. He said that social justice right now means we say what people want to hear instead of what works, okay? And this is the problem, is when you're saying something that people want to hear, like you're going to give me $25,000 but you got to think on the absurdity of some of the statements people say. You got to be really careful. When anybody says an absurd statement, oh, I hate these backup noises. I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a truck with a backup noise. But the point is this. There's absurd statements. Like when somebody says something like clickbait is a phrase that is just ridiculous. Okay? And it's specifically made to say like, oh, something crazy like Trump has sex with a dog or something like that. And people click on these things and then they, some reason, give it justice by reading it. And you have to be real careful whenever. I read only headlines that just seem plausible, extremely plausible. If they even slightly appear like gossip or chisme in Spanish, I don't read them. Why? Because I don't want to give my spirit to the wrong reality test. Okay, but I truly believe there's signals of people that are good at accepting reality. Like anybody that's protesting against Israel right now and supporting Hamas, they're delusional. Okay, it's like people that don't believe that there's people that do not believe that the we landed on the moon. And guess what? You can have a conspiracy of 3 or 4 people, and you can have a corruption. But when you need thousands of people to do this, it just don't work. Okay, almost half the people are going to lie just to make money. They're gonna expose the truth just because it's like chemtrails. Chemtrails are this idea that we're being thing. I think this is total hokey, but on the other side, people get into these things, and I try to say, but when people talk about certain subjects like defund the police, Trump is a dictator or something, you got to just sit there and say this person is. But when you give it any kind of credence and you agree with them and you do an ascendance, it's a gentleman's agreement that you're not going to say anything. You're basically destroying your own mind, okay? It is highly possible for everybody to believe in something that's not true. It's like Germany, one of the smartest cultures on the planet, did one of the most. They killed like 55 to 75 million people in World War II. That's an evil thing, okay? And they all went along, okay? They all went along with a common enemy of Hitler, got a common enemy of the Jews and the gypsies and things like that. So you got to be real careful. You can have the smartest people on the planet doing the wrong thing. But reality testing has nothing to do with, it has everything to do with you testing reality. But humility is to be teachable. And if you're not teachable and you believe in something 100%, you have to be careful. There's absolutes that just don't exist. I very seldom say something is not, like I know that the Democrats are not bad people. What they are is just the opposite side of a battle, okay? But what makes them a bad soldier is when they agree with the commander when they know that it's obviously crazy, okay? When you go along, it's like when you go along with a group. So, I mean, there's a natural tendency for humans to want to, they don't want to say bad things, okay? People naturally want to, they don't want to say, Joe Biden has dementia. They just don't want to say that. And they want to look the other way, trying to hope that it sort of goes away. But that's not reality. Reality is the truth of what you're looking at, okay? And when people cannot differentiate between what is real and what they want, that is a reality problem. But there's always signals, and that's what I look for. But how do I test reality? I live in a hotel, and how do I know it's a good value? I don't. The only way I can know it's a good value is to go look at 10 other hotels. Then I can compare it. People say, I got a great deal on a hotel. I said, well, how many hotels did you look at? I said, only one. I said, well, then there's no way you could know whether you got a good deal because you didn't compare it to anything. Reality is always a comparison. It's starting to rain. But calling somebody names like racist, white supremacist, Hitler, these are people that are not wanting you to, they're wanting to propagandize and using these kind of terminologies. Don't get me wrong, 80% of the population can be naive, stupid. It's highly possible, okay? I mean, we can all be thinking the wrong thing. They used to think the world was flat. But the idea that the United States is going to go along with guys with dicks walking into bathrooms with girls, small girls. I cannot imagine a world where a man gets to pretend he's a girl and be swim or be in a thing. It's just absurd, okay? And these kind of absurdities are only existing because for some reason there's kind of a mass hysteria. Okay, it's a mass hysteria, and it happens. Whole groups, whole countries can go the wrong way. Germany did all the wrong things. Okay, they went and they followed a person that was charismatically powerful, and they wanted to. He was appealing to their worst sense. But one of the biggest reality tests I do is like when I'm buying something, I will price something. Like I can buy an avocado, and I would go ask somebody the price 8 times until I find it. And what happens is 6 of them will tell me too much, and the other one will tell me just the right price. And you always have the 1 in 5 that tells the truth, and that is a good way to test reality. If you want to test reality, you got to realize that maybe 5 out of 6 people will always lie. Okay, then you got the one person that just naturally tells the truth. Okay, and so if you're only asking one person, you're only asking your best friend, you have no chance to test reality. But reality testing is a very difficult thing to learn, and it should be taught in schools. On the other side is, in a lot of ways, teachers are not. They're not always as sharp as tack, because the people that make a lot of money are the sharpest tack. The best businessman is the sharpest tack. The bad part is they might be a complete thief, right? So sociopaths are often the best business people. But try to have empathy right now for the Democrats, that they were hanging around with people that didn't know how to test reality. They didn't understand what they were doing. And they're citizens of the United States. And you shouldn't expect everybody to be a genius. Because that seems to, if anybody's a Christian, and you could say everybody's a sinner. So the Democrats have a right to be a sinner. They have a right to be stupid. They have a right, as does the Republican. But if you don't want to have an eye for the eye, it's starting to rain, guys. What I'm saying is have an eye for their eye. But how do you do it? Learn how to reality test. Test reality. And if you're asking one opinion of one person, you're always wrong. You have to really get the correct opinion on something, you have to actually talk to people you don't even like. I had a guy pay me consulting fees. He says, I don't really agree with everything you say, but I know you won't lie to me. That's what you want. Somebody that just is incapable of lying. I'm incapable of lying because I'm a recovering alcoholic, and the only way I protect my sobriety is by staying sober. I'm Andy Lee Graham, 114 countries. I've been living in a separate reality 114 times.